want to fend for myself, and I want to build people up for them to fend for themselves. Hey everybody, Clark Fredericks back with another edition of the Free Like Me podcast. It's been weeks since I've been in this studio. I've been away. I don't even know what to say anymore, what to do. So we're gonna get back into the flow of things here. And I hope you're loving these episodes and that you share them. And the numbers have been growing every single week. And they're only going to grow if you share these episodes and tell your friends about them. So please do that. If you're interested in the Free Like Me coaching program, reach out to me privately on my website, clarkfredericks.com, and we'll set up a consultation call. Coming in spring of 2025, my book, Scarred, with Simon & Schuster Publishers. It'll be out. We're getting there. Winter's going to fly by, and spring will be here. So stay tuned for that. And this week, I am honored to have my guest, Lou Pirrello Jr. He's a 28-year veteran of law enforcement. He retired from the Harding Township Police Department in Morris County, New Jersey. And while he was on the job, he had a near-fatal car accident where he coded out and had to be brought back to life. And in that, he had a near-death experience that changed him and forged a path for him to go forward. Many people wanted him to just take disability and go right off into the sunset, but he had bigger plans for his life, and that wasn't the type of person he was to just give up and give in. So he fought to get his career back and get his life back and get his health back, and he's here to share it all with us. So please stay tuned, and hope you love it. Lou, my buddy, thanks for being here.
Anytime, sir.
So you had a long career as a law enforcement officer. You had almost a tragic ending while you were on there, and we're going to get into all of that. I actually met you at the gym pumping iron together.
A long time ago.
Yeah, and you came up to me and introduced yourself and welcomed me back into the community, and I appreciated that, man.
100%.
And little did I know that many years down the road, we'd be sitting here talking about your life. Back then when you introduced yourself, I had no idea what you went through. And we'll get into that, near fatal accident where you struggled to survive. Tell the audience where you grew up. Let's hear about your younger years. And what led you into a law enforcement career? So where were you raised?
I was born in Bloomfield, New Jersey.
Yeah.
And raised in Verona.
Okay.
My junior year, my parents built a house in Sussex County. We moved to Sussex County my junior year, which was tough to start a new high school as a junior.
Yeah, man.
I played football, and I was a quarterback.
And what school did you go to in Sussex?
High Point.
High Point?
Yeah, so it made it a little easier for the transition.
Yeah.
And I just enjoy everything about the country, which is what Sussex County is all about.
Yeah, it's all country living up there.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, that had to be tough. Did that affect your grades at all, like switching in your junior year?
I really was never much one to have great grades.
Right.
But I did well as far as what I needed to do. And I always knew that I always knew I was going to want to be a police officer, put it that way.
When did that calling come to you?
Actually, I was 11 years old or 12 years old, or maybe, I'm not sure, 13. My dad was a Montclair police officer.
Okay.
He retired after 26 years, and I was at my grandmother's house staying over for the night, and all of a sudden a Montclair patrol car pulls up to the house. And I look outside, I'm like, oh, it's my dad. He comes out, he says, you want to go for a ride? I'm like, you kidding me? Absolutely, I'll go for a ride. So I'm in the patrol car, we're driving around, and this is back when there were no cameras, there was no audio, video, there was no mobile vision, things like that.
Right.
And all of a sudden, I was loving everything. Call comes on the radio, and I'm looking at the radio as the call came in, and it said, shots fired in the cemetery. I'm like, all right, let's go. And he's
you're
like,
all pumped up.
I'm dropping you off. You can't go. I'm like, what? Why? So with that, it dropped me off, and I was all bummed out, and I couldn't go to the call. Ever since then, I knew that's what I wanted to do.
That just implanted something in you.
100%.
Like,
I knew.
I want to do this.
Yeah, 100%.
From that age on.
From that age on, my whole family's in law enforcement. My uncle's FBI, cousin, police officer. So it's what I wanted to do.
It was in your blood.
Yes, sir.
Wow, awesome. Did you do sports when you were younger?
I did. I played baseball, football. I was on American Legion for Branchville.
Did you get in any trouble, Lou, when you were a kid?
You know what's funny? You should mention that. Actually, I was told that every police officer, my dad knows in New Jersey, when I first got my license, and I'm like, what? Okay, cool. So I get stopped in Vernon, going to, I don't know if you remember the hayloft.
Yeah.
We were going to the
Absolutely.
hayloft. I was with a girl, and we're going to the hayloft. On the way back, I get stopped by, I don't know, Hardyston police or something. And I was speeding, I guess 5 over, whatever I was doing. Given a warning. The next day, I'm sitting there, I'm home, and my dad's like, what happened last night? I'm like, what are you talking about? He's like, what happened last night? Just confronts me, and I'm like, what are you talking about? I'm like, all right, I was stopped. You knew him too? Not until like 20 years later did he tell me. I said that. I didn't know every police officer in New Jersey, but I wanted you thinking I did, because I don't want you to get in trouble. Fast forward now, my son, I told that to like 100 times already, and I don't think he believes me anymore, but I try to ingrain that in him, that this is what you need to do and not get in trouble. So I really didn't get in trouble, which is good. I knew I was destined for the job, so
Right.
you know, I couldn't afford to.
No drinking, drugging, out of control early on or anything like that.
We did, yeah. One thing when I was in High Point, everybody went to field parties.
Yeah.
And
Keg parties out in the field, bonfires.
field parties were the best. I mean, that was the day you had bow and arrow in the back rack of the trucks, and it was a different
It was
era.
like a rite of passage to go to a keg bonfire party
Exactly
out in the
right.
field, man.
So it was a lot of fun.
And I went to Kinnatini, and a guy who was one of my good friends, his cousin went to High Point.
Okay.
So like, instead of there being a rivalry, we were all just friends, and we'd go up to keg parties
Right.
up in High Point. They'd come down to our keg parties.
Yeah,
We had a
exactly right.
blast back in the day.
A lot of fun.
Yeah. So. So you just mentioned you have a son. Is he leaning towards law enforcement too?
No. And
no?
honestly, in this day and age, it's a little tough right now with the administration, with everything going on in the world. I told him
It's changed.
make as much money as you can in this world and do stuff that makes you happy.
Right.
And he's doing very well right now. He's actually a diesel mechanic, and he's doing very well. He loves his diesel truck, and all his friends are diesel truck kids, and good bunch of kids.
College is almost, unless you're going for a specialty in college, like engineering or doctorate, or it's just sort of like a waste. I think nowadays, like you can just start a trade,
Yeah.
and you're a diesel mechanic, a plumber, electrician. These are necessary careers, and you make a hell of a lot more money.
You do,
and you don't come out with 6-figure debt.
It's true. My oldest daughter is a college graduate. My middle daughter is a college graduate. So with that, I give them a lot of credit, because they work very hard at what they're doing, and it's all good.
Did you go to college after high school?
I did. I went to
get...
County College of Morris for an associate's degree.
Okay.
And I actually have almost enough for my bachelor's. I just need to go back to school for a couple more credits if I wanted to do that. But
back then, did you need an associate to get in?
You did minimum associates to become involved in law enforcement.
Now I think it's bachelor, right?
Yeah, I believe it's bachelor now. State police was, I believe, bachelor, not associates, but it definitely was different.
So you went and got your associates, and
Yes,
then
in criminal justice.
And then when did you make the leap into law enforcement?
I started my career with Fairleigh Dickinson University Police in Morris County Police Academy as a university police officer. I knew it was a stepping stone, because there were 2 towns I wanted to get onto, and you had to stay at FDU for 3 years for their contract, and they weren't in the state police fire and pension system. So I stayed there for 2.5 years, and actually was hired by Morris Township Police in Morris County, and did very well. I loved Morris Township.
And almost 3 years you spent there, they don't count towards your pension?
No, it's a private university. It's not involved with the state and police fire pension system.
Wow,
so
that's
it was
crazy.
private. Yeah,
It's like guys in the military, like get out of the military and
Yes.
they can carry their 4 years, 8 years
Yes.
into, their years.
agreed. I could have bought back my pension, my time at FDU, but at the time, it was very expensive to buy back. So I did stay 28 years because to retire with your pension in New Jersey, it's 25.
Right.
So I stayed 28. So essentially, I've been a police officer for 28 years.
28 years.
Yes, sir.
Wow, awesome. And how was your time as a law enforcement guy? Did you enjoy it? I know, like guys like that I talk to now, like they're just like counting the days down, counting the months down, counting the years down. Like they just can't. It like has changed.
It has.
And they just can't wait to get out. Guys used to love it, and everything's changed in the last 8 years or so. 10
Very true.
years.
I mean, you're right.
How was your time in there?
Very true. The first town I ever applied to as a police officer was Harding Township, Morris County.
Yeah.
I always used to drive through, look at the deer, look at the different things and the bucks, and beautiful town next to Morris Township. And it came my way when I was in Morris Township, and I actually took the leap and I transferred after 7 years, give or take, of Morris Township.
So you went from FDU to Morris Township,
yep.
and then to Harding.
Then to Harding Township,
Okay.
where I ended up retiring from.
Right.
2 years ago.
Yeah.
So.
Were the last couple of years you counting down also, or did you
you know what?
enjoy it throughout
Honestly,
the whole ride?
Honestly, the only thing I wanted to do as far as work was being a police officer. And honestly, I loved everything that I did. I was big with community policing. I was certified if law enforcement against drugs, or called LEAD. I was certified as an instructor in 2017, and I enjoyed that. On patrol, in and out of the school once a month to teach fifth graders.
Now, is the LEAD program different from the DARE program?
It actually is.
Or did it morph into that?
DARE and LEAD are separate.
Okay.
So LEAD is the only curriculum, evidence-based program that has really taken off now. It's going nationwide. It's actually going outside of the country. And I am certified to teach, and I've gone to Tennessee. Bartlett Police Department in Tennessee, I was the instructor for. Different states, I just have to tell you, when you go to Tennessee or Mississippi or Alabama, you really see how different it is from New Jersey. Everybody's nice. There's no judging. It's just a different way of life. It's much
Down
more
south was nicer than up here.
absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, these guys there was a SWAT team that I was one of the instructors for, and they wanted to take a picture because I'm on one of the posters for LEAD. And they want to take a picture of me, and I'm standing next to these guys that look like Schwarzenegger but uniforms.
Right.
And every one of them were as nice as can be. There was no, again, there was no judging. It was just very nice.
No bravado.
No bravado,
we're
nothing.
tougher than you.
It's so different than New Jersey, really.
Yeah.
So different.
How was your career? I think you mentioned a story to me where somebody you gave a DUI to, actually, did they call you or write you and actually thank you?
It's funny. My biggest thing was I enjoyed looking for intoxicated drivers when I was in Morris Township, Harding. And the biggest thing is when an intoxicated driver gets in a car crash, a lot of times they hurt someone else and possibly themselves. But I prided myself on keeping the road safe a little bit. Years later, I was on Harding, a guy locked up in Morris Township. He was a habitual intoxicated driver. He actually saw me. We met, and he remembered me. And he says, "I just want to say thank you." I said, "For what?" He says, "Thank you for stopping me. That was the last time that I was stopped by a police officer since I became sober." And I said, "I really appreciate that." And honestly, that made me feel like I did my job, which is really, really cool.
Right.
So it was good stuff.
I say nowadays, I got to make sure I don't slip up here and give anything away. But somebody at the gym where we both used to, well, you used to work out. You're at another gym now, but somebody at the gym where I work out got a DUI, and I was talking to them, and just trying to, get some sense into them and get them on track. And I'm like, dude, like, there's Uber now. Like, like, what are you doing?
Right.
like,
there's no reason.
Spend $60 on Uber versus potentially killing somebody.
That's good advice.
Like, dude, like, they never had Uber when I was in my drinking days. Like, I wish
Definitely
they did.
Different. Yes, it's definitely an advantage to have an Uber and having people that can give you a ride and things like that, because it's not worth it.
No, like one of my biker buddies, who every weekend we were out together, and because we lived 2 miles from each other, and I'm sober now for going 12 years.
By the way, congratulations!
Thank you,
because that's a very tough accomplishment. That's a very tough hill to climb, and you not only climbed it, but you surpassed it. Good for you.
Thanks, man.
You're welcome.
So he still goes out and parties, but he takes an Uber. Like,
Good.
He's like, I have the Uber come pick me up.
Perfect.
I have the Uber pick me up at the bar.
It's worth it.
And I come home, and he goes, it's just not worth me risk. He's got his own business. He's like, if I lose my license, 20 years ago, we weren't worried about that.
Right.
It's just like,
Exactly.
Exactly.
Right.
And then, like, we didn't even think about losing our license, let alone causing the loss of life.
Right.
So nowadays, you have to. It's just, and
that's the biggest thing. You just said I've been to a couple fatals involving intoxicated drivers that they were not on the receiving end of.
They killed the other person,
and
it's got to be horrible.
It's just it's a mistake that the person made, and it's just life-changing circumstances for everybody involved.
I mean, drunk driving, like was just looked at as like, can you get home safe? Like, I got pulled over in high school, and the cop's like, just slow down and get home safe. Well,
Exactly,
are you
right.
okay to make it the rest of the way? And I'm like, yeah, of course I am.
Right.
He's like, all right, and then they changed the penalty like right after I graduated, and then it wasn't just a careless little ticket anymore. It became serious, because Mothers Against Drunk Drivers,
Yes.
Do you have any idea how many DUIs in your career you gave out?
Number-wise, no, I'm not a big stat guy. I did have the more drunk driving award for Morris Township, I think several years in a row, because that was something that I prided myself looking for, people over the road.
And what's that award for the most DUIs?
The MAD Award, Mothers Against Drunk Driving. So it was recognized, put it that way.
Back in my drinking days, I would have been like, man, come on, bro.
Yeah, right.
But now when you get to a certain age and you look back, and
Right.
you're like, man, there's so many times I could have killed somebody.
True.
And
Or yourself.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
And then I, for you to get that guy to say thank you,
It was
you woke
actually
me
pretty
up.
cool.
Yeah.
And honestly, he changed his life. He's, like you said, he's a business owner, and he's doing very well. He has kids.
Right.
And it's something that everything in life happens for a reason. And I believe in that. So
Right.
things that happen in your life, whether it be negative or positive, everything happens for a reason. I'm 1,000% convinced of that,
Yeah.
including that.
Yeah.
So.
No, and I would tell kids that, these 18 to 21-year-old kids that were getting locked up when I was locked up for heroin and drugs. And I'm like, use this as a wake-up call, bro. This is not the end of the world by any means. I'm like, just say you're never going to come back in this place again.
There you go.
And you're going to change your life. It's that simple.
And that's why I'm glad that you have the opportunity now to show people what they could turn into, which is what this is,
Yeah.
which is awesome.
And like I had, ever since my rape at age 12, like I put a barrier between God and I, and like I really I lost my faith, back then. And I used God like a lucky rabbit's foot throughout my life. Like I'm driving bombed, I'm driving high, I'm getting drugs in Patterson and like doing drug deals, and I'm like, God, you owe me. You owe me. You better get me through this. God, you better get me home safe tonight without hurting anybody. God, you owe me. And that was my relationship with God. Like, you owe me, bro, for what happened when I was a kid. And that was my relationship, like, and then, I've developed a better I've
Thank
mended the
goodness,
fence
yeah.
with God
Exactly.
and developed a relationship, but that was my whole thing. My relationship with God was just, you're my lucky rabbit's foot. You owe me for what happened, and you better get me home safe tonight.
Really?
And
You were rebelling.
yeah, I was rebelling against God.
yeah.
I was, and I, and then when I was locked up, I had a pastor come into the jail and teach about free will, and how, we're given free will because otherwise we're just puppets on a string, and God's the superhero to save the day for every tragedy, and like, you could use your free will for good, and the guy next to you could use it for evil, and something good or bad could happen to you, And then once he explained that, I'm like, all right, so it wasn't God's fault for me getting molested and raped. It was a piece of garbage using their free will for evil,
I agree.
And that allowed me to drop all the anger towards God and develop a relationship, So,
I agree.
when in your career did this tragic accident happen? Like, how long into it were you?
All right. So I was a police officer for give or take 7 years in Morris Township.
Yep.
I transferred to Harding Township Police. While I was on Harding Township Police, I am a big, this is the time of year that is the fall, deer season's here, deer hunting. We were doing several Morris County park hunts and group of guys, 20, 30 guys that we hunt with. I was on the way home. I can't forget, bought a Ford Thunderbird from a sergeant at work. One of the bigger Ford Thunderbirds, but a big V8 engine, kept it immaculate.
Yeah.
Green Thunderbird. I love the car. Leather interior, right? So I did very well on the drives or whatever.
On the deer drives.
Yeah,
hunting.
steer drives. So I had three does in the trunk.
Okay.
And I had to take my tree stand out of the trunk and put it in the front seat because there was no room. I didn't have a pickup truck. I had a Ford Thunderbird, which is not the vehicle that's
For deer
conducive to
hunting.
Yeah. So, I mean, even when I pulled in armor...
Well, that just shows you how big that car is that you could fit 3 deer in the
exactly
trunk,
right.
man.
So it was a bigger car.
Yeah.
And I was the one with armor on my tires pulling into the spots, and everyone's like, Lou, where's your truck? Listen, it was all about raising my kids, making sure my kids had everything they want, which they do, and it wasn't about me. I was doing what I could do at the time. So with that, I was on the way home from deer hunting, and I was on Route 15 by Picatinny Arsenal, if you know what it is.
Now, just for people that don't know, Route 15, that area probably has 3 lanes each way.
I believe three or four. Yeah, northbound 3 or 4. I believe 3. Yes.
Yeah. So you're talking a 6 to 8 lane highway.
Yes.
With a
North and south.
median in the center.
Correct.
Yeah.
So I know it was raining hard. The only day that I do not recall, God is my witness, as is the day of the accident. The day before was the Harding Township PBA Christmas party. I remember like it was yesterday. My kids were very young. We had a good time. Santa Claus came. I remember that right to this day. The day of the crash, can't
It's all
remember.
a blank now.
Because I suffered a traumatic brain injury in my crash, and I'll fast forward, but when I was at Kessler Institute, they said it's the way your body protects yourself.
How you were going northbound.
Northbound.
And then you don't even know how it happened, but you hit a truck head on in the southbound lanes.
So I was told, as I was going northbound, there's a median, and the median is grass median.
Right.
It's almost like a bowl that goes the whole length of 15. I crossed across the median, jumped into the southbound lane, and hit a very large truck. Couldn't have been a bigger truck on the road, head on. And apparently the impact caused me to come back across the median again. That's how hard I hit, to face southbound, or in the northbound lane, facing southbound, if that makes sense. So I crossed over, hit the truck in the other lane.
And then got
The
thrown
impact
all the way back
vaulted me
into
back.
your side?
And I've
Wow.
investigated a lot of car crashes and accidents. This was if I'm going to do it, this was a good one. Okay.
Yeah.
And this one was one of the biggest so far.
And what caused the traumatic brain injury? What'd you hit?
So when I was facing southbound, I was unconscious in my car. This is what I've been told. Apparently, there was an off-duty paramedic 3 cars behind me when I crossed over, saw the whole crash. It's funny. I think it was I believe it's a neighbor where I used to live up with my parents in Sussex County, named Gregorio. He was a off-duty paramedic, jumped in my car, opened my airway, because I split my head open on the tree stand that I positioned in the front seat.
Front seat with you? Wow.
So
it wasn't the steering wheel.
To this day, I still have a scar here. It wasn't a steering wheel. I broke my femur in half on the console, and I was unconscious. I was not breathing. I had no pulse.
And this guy opened up your what?
Opened my airway and did CPR on the car, and everybody responded. Apparently, they couldn't fly me to Morristown, even though it was close, because it was raining so hard.
Because of the weather?
Yes. So they shut down the road. Went down as a fatal car crash. They shut down everything, and that's how I hit.
Wow.
And
Man,
crazy.
what if this guy hadn't been behind you?
So I say things happen for a reason in everyone's life, positive, negative. There's a reason for everything, and I'm gonna get to that. But just bad crash.
So were you taken to Morristown via ambulance
Yes.
instead of flown there?
Yes. My son actually was 2 months old, so my wife was home with the baby, and I was brought to Morristown, and she was brought down to Morristown because of the severity of the accident. And my son ended up staying with my sister-in-law because she lived close and offered to help out with my kids, because this was not good at the time, if that makes sense.
Yeah, yeah. It was a life or death situation, whether you're going to survive, right?
Exactly right.
Yeah. Wow. And were you in a coma?
Actually, I was in a coma for 11 days.
Wow.
And a lot of police officers were coming, a lot of family coming to the hospital. And it's funny. A lot of friends that I have said, Lou, when you were in a coma, that was the quietest that I've ever seen you, because I like to talk. And I said, well, a coma might do that to you a little bit. And they laughed. And I laughed too, because it's a way your body has to heal. I had a traumatic brain injury, which I said that impacted many things. And it was a hard impact, put it that way.
And when you're in a coma, do you have any thoughts, dreams, recollections, or is it just blank?
When I was in my coma, I saw something that I remember vividly as if it happened an hour ago.
Right.
I'm looking in the window of my grandmother's house in Montclair, where my dad grew up, on Christopher Street. Funny, because my son's name is Christopher. And with that, looking in the window, and there's my Uncle Joe, Nan, great-grandmother, Uncle Phil, like all my family was in there.
Are these family that are still alive or have passed?
My whole family's Italian. They were all having Sunday dinner. They were all smoking cigars, playing cards, having sauce. It was a great time that they were having. So I wanted to go say hello to everybody, because they were right there. Right from here to the picture frame away was the window I was looking in. I was so happy to see everybody. I go to open up the door, which is the side door next to the kitchen, which is still there now, because my aunt lives in the house now. And every time I go to the house, I just stare in the window, and I just shake my head. Go to open the door, and as I pull the door to open, and I go to walk in, something stops me on my right shoulder, and it's just pulling me back. And I try to go in again, And again, something stopped me, like something was pulling me away. So I turn around, I look. It's my Uncle Lou, who, Uncle Lou was the best, okay? He was the patriarch of the Pirello family. Every Sunday we were at Uncle Lou's house. He had a chewed up cigar in his mouth, and he's smiling. And I'm like, Uncle Lou. He's right over my left shoulder. I'm like, Uncle Lou, everybody's right there. Let's go say hello. And he's smiling. He's pulling me away. I'm like, Uncle Lou, I want to go say hello. Why? He goes, Luigi. In Italian, he called me Luigi. He goes, Luigi, now's not the time. Let's go for a walk. And I fought it. And I said, I'm going in. Everybody's right there. He goes, Luigi, not now. Let's go. We turn. We walk up the driveway. Never forget it. Clark. My aunt still has them to this day. There's long cattail reeds, okay, or whatever reeds they were along the right side of the driveway. I'm walking up the driveway with my Uncle Lou, looking at this, and the wind's going. I turn around. Now we're away from the house. I turned to look at him, and I said, why? What's going on? He's smiling again with this smile on his face with the chewed up cigar sticking out of his mouth. He goes, now's not the time. And I had no idea what that meant, okay? I turned to look where the basketball backboard is on the garage. I look up. It's the brightest light. Like, if you look to your right, see these lights right now? The brightest light I've ever seen in my entire life was staring me down, looking me in the face. It was that second that I came out of my coma in ICU.
Do you
See,
think...
I'm going to lose it. And I'm telling you right now, if I get upset, I'm walking out.
No, you're not.
I am.
Do you think that had you gone into the house, that would have been crossing over, like accepting death and crossing over?
For 100%, I know I was going to, because everybody in the house had passed away.
That's what I asked.
And Uncle Lou passed away 15 years before my crash.
So everybody in there was already dead.
Including Uncle Lou,
including
who was
Uncle
gone.
Lou.
I was crossing over.
Wow.
Right? And to this day, there's not a day that goes by. Told you that
It's all right
there's
to
not
show
a day that goes
emotion.
by that I don't think about that.
Wow.
So it's all good. And honestly, reason why I'm here, I want to talk to you, because if there's anybody facing anything like I did, I want them to know it's going to be better.
You can come back from it.
Yes.
Wow. So everybody in there had already been deceased, including Uncle Lou.
Yes.
And said, not now.
Not the time.
Not the time. Wow. And then that's when you looked up at that light. That's the moment where you flew back out of the coma and opened up your eyes, huh?
And my wife's sitting to my right side at the bed. I don't know what time it was. Had to be late. She calls everybody in. I'm alive.
Did you utter any words when you opened your eyes?
You know what's funny? She's bawling, she's crying, she's upset. Everybody's coming in. And I had no idea what happened. I don't know where it was. Now, if anybody knows me, I'm always doing a million things. To be sitting somewhere in a bed, other than sleeping, is not me.
Right.
So there was a quiet time where my wife and I were talking right after this. And I got to tell you, without the support of family, without the support of my wife, this wouldn't have happened. I wouldn't be here right now, because no one knew if I was going to walk again, if I was going to be able to talk again, if I was going to be able to be whole again. So I told my wife, I said, everything's okay. What happened? She told me I was in a car crash. I said, it's okay. I'm going to be a cop again. And I don't say the word cop much, okay? But there's people that are good cops that are good cops, all right? I said, I'm going to be a cop again, and I'm going to be a police officer again. Promise you. And I told her, it's all good. Watch. Had no idea what that meant, other than I was going to make it out of this hospital bed and get back on the job.
Didn't you even give her a date?
The crash was in December, I believe, 2004. During deer season, obviously, because of the deer and everything else. I told her I'll be a cop again by my birthday. Watch me.
Which is when?
So I'll get to that, okay? Because this is why I'm sitting here, because I want to make sure that people that have had really negative things going on, there's everything that happens for a reason. And if I say gabish, you know what gabish means?
No.
You understand? In Italian? So gabish? All right, gabish. So with that, I was in ICU. People were coming to the hospital to visit. I had police officers from other agencies who I used to work for coming to visit. Everybody was positive, and everybody's like, he's here, he's good. I did have a couple guys come, and I had to tell them to leave my room. That's what I'm going to say.
What were they saying to you?
Couple guys, listen, every job has malcontents.
Yeah.
Whether it's business, police, fire. Couple malcontents came, and they're like, Lou, oh, this is so good. You could put in disability papers and retire. I said, what'd you say? I mean, I'm still processing things. I'm only a week out of my coma. And I'm still processing what the fuck happened
And they're telling
here.
you this is so good.
I apologize for cursing, but... And they're telling me, this is great. This is what everybody looks for. And I said, come here, I need you to tell you something. I said it quietly. I said, I need you to do me a favor. I need you to leave my room and don't come back. And I kicked them out. At the time, it was the right thing to do. Reason why? I needed to be whole again and on the job again. And I didn't know if that was going to happen. But I knew in my head that I wanted it to happen. I did not need anybody saying any negative thoughts
Right.
when I was down and out.
I post about this all the time. Guard carefully who your 5 closest people are and 5 most influential people in your life, because you need people that are positive and that are going to help you achieve your success, not be negative and toxic. So make sure those inner circle people are going to cheer you on. And here you're saying that exact same thing as you're lying in a hospital bed. Like, I can't have negativity. Like, I'm not looking to just mail in my life and hobble away on disability for the rest of my life. That's not me.
Clark, between you and I and everybody else listening, obviously, my kids were all under 10 years old. There was no way that I was going to resort to leaving something that I loved, that I worked so hard to do as a police officer. There was no way that I was going to have a crash determine my fate. If physically I was unable to, that's one thing. But so much has happened since then to be able to come out. And I tell it best to people that are really not doing well or whatever, they've been in car crash. I said, listen, I went from a hospital bed to a wheelchair, to a walker, to crutches, to a cane, to being able to learn how to walk again. I was at Kessler Institute.
Yeah.
My dad would pick me up every morning. We would drive to Kessler and Chester. I would do, because I had a functional, because I had a traumatic brain injury, we had to do functional capacity testing. Put round pegs into round holes, square pegs into square holes. And I had to learn how to use my hands and things like that because it was a brain injury. Well, it got very difficult, but as the days went on, it got easier.
Did you struggle like doing those simple tasks in the beginning?
I did.
Yeah.
And I was frustrated because if anybody knows me, I don't have any patience.
Right.
And I've learned to have a little more patience. My wife's an angel to put up with me and, to be there by my side throughout all of this. I give her a lot of credit because anybody else would have said, you know what? I can't deal with this. And I thank her for that. That's important to me because our family is what this is all about. And my biggest accomplishment was having my kids. And seeing my kids healthy and safe is one of the most proudest moments that I can be a part of in my life. So yes, it was tough. It was tough.
And just trying to walk again,
Yeah.
you know.
I'll give you a funny story. My best friend Tony Fontana came to Kessler during Christmas time, and I was in a wheelchair, and I had a seatbelt on me because they didn't want me because I couldn't walk because my femur was broken. I had it broken in half, and that's the biggest bone in your leg, whatever. And I said, Tony, and we're talking about hunting, and he's showing me pictures on his phone, this, that. I said, Tony, come here. Can I ask you a question? This is the Kessler Institute when everybody's visiting, okay? It was me and Tony there, and there were people around. I said, Tony, can you do me a favor? He said, what? Anything. I said, bro, you got to loosen the seatbelt. You got to help me out here. I feel like an animal in a cage right now. He's like, bro, I can't. He said, look, I said, Tony, listen, it's okay. And to this day, we joke around about this. He tells me, you remember when you said this to me? I said, Tony, what? He says, I can't do it, Lou. I'm going to get in trouble. I said, Tony, it's okay. I'm a cop. Relax. I got your back. He laughed so hard then, and to this day, we talk about that. He loosened my seatbelt, and me, I'm like, thank you. And honestly, to this day, we're best friends. And that was something that was funny during the Christmas time.
Yeah.
It's crazy stuff.
So now when you have a traumatic brain injury, I'm sure you can't just like jump back into the police force. They got to probably, you got a firearm you're responsible for. Did you have to do like all sorts of tests in order to be cleared?
So, nobody was knowing if I was going to walk again. But I made it out of my hospital bed, went to Kessler with a wheelchair, moved on to a walker, started doing PT to walk again. Went from I told you, wheelchair to a walker to crutches to a cane, and I still have the cane. It was a cane with a wooden duck head that somebody made for me, carved out for me, and to walking again.
Right.
So I had to pass many different tests for Kessler to be released by Kessler, if that makes sense.
Okay. Yeah.
So, and I'm going to say this. I stopped at the church many times after the testing, and I just sat there. And not that I'm the most religious person in the world, but Uncle Lou was with me when I was in my crash. I know that because every time I sat at the pew, it was quiet, it's dark. Say in the middle of the week at 9 o'clock at night, I would just sit there. I would just say, keep me going. Keep me going. Keep me going. This is going to happen. Finally, I passed Kessler's testing, and I'm like, yes, did it. There were a lot of people that supported me, okay, including the police chief for Harding, Kevin Gaffney, calls me up and says, Lou, you need to pass our testing now. It's mandated. And the best description he gave me was, you're a police officer that carries a weapon. You're not a carpenter that carries a hammer. It's a little different because of the weapon. Nothing against carpenters or nothing like that, but this is something that was serious. At first, I was a little thrown back, and I was a little pissed off that I passed what I needed to pass. You know what? After he said that, I just went by and I said, listen, bring it on. Whatever we need to do.
Right.
The same gamut of testing. Psychiatric, because of the brain injury. Cognitive testing, because of the brain injury. Functional capacity testing. I had to show I could run again, okay? Walk again. Not only walk, but run. And honestly, I was running. It sounds stupid, but remember Rocky IV?
Yeah.
Okay? I swear to God, when I pulled into the police academy, every morning I would put on the soundtrack to Rocky IV, okay? During the testing, don't you know what soundtrack I played? As cliche as it is, I knew there was a reason and I needed to do this. So I needed to train my brain to work, to make this work. So with that, did all the testing. It's a Saturday night. Man, I'm getting involved in a lot of stuff here. I get a phone call from the chief of police. He says, Lou, are you sitting down? I said, yeah, what's the matter? What's wrong? See, now I'm going to get upset. I'm telling you right now, I'm going to walk out this door.
No, you're not.
So he says,
It's all right to get emotional.
Lou, you passed everything? You not only passed, you passed with 100% on every test.
Awesome.
With that, he says, we need you back in Monday morning. Be ready to go. What do you think Monday morning was?
Well, you told your wife by my birthday I'm going to be back on. You're going to tell me Monday was actually your birthday?
So the day I returned to work as a police officer was June 16th, the day of my birthday. And
Same exact day you said.
And honestly, you can't make this up.
Yeah.
You couldn't have scripted this. You couldn't have planned this.
That's amazing.
And when I told my wife, it's all good, I'll be back my birthday, I didn't say that for any other reason. It just came out.
Right.
And when he called and said, you passed everything, you passed Kessler, you passed the doctors by the town, and all the testing,
psychiatrists,
everything.
Right.
And to me,
We'll see you Monday, and
was the
Monday
best-
is actually your birthday.
best, when I walked back to work. Obviously, I wasn't on the road right away. You know, I had to do policies and different things. But to walk in that door and to see the patrol cars, it's all good. And that's what it's all about. So anybody that has anything that's stopping them or telling them not to do something, I'm here to tell you, you do what you feel in your heart, because there's reasons why things happen in your life. And this crash, if I would have left and if I would have retired, there's no way I would have accomplished half of what I've done so far.
Right. So you have a traumatic brain injury, you have a broken femur, and it was roughly 7 months later.
6 months to the day almost.
6 months to the day. You're back on the force.
Crash
on your
was
birthday.
December.
Yeah.
My birthday is June 16th, and I'm whole.
Wow.
So
Wow. And here you got guys telling you, just mail it in and take your disability. This is what we live for. Like, who would say that? Like, this is what we live for, you know? Like,
there's guys on the job. Listen, everybody has malcontents, whatever. There's guys on the job that get the job not because they want to be a police officer, because it was an opportunity that came their way. The malcontents will be malcontents their entire career. And those are the guys that can't wait to get out. I
just
can't wait.
working for their pension.
Those are the guys for
want my
last year
pension.
saying, oh, I got 8 months left. I got 6 months left. Yeah, everybody says that at the end. But guess what? I was still chasing cars before I retired. And the new guys are like, Lou, why are you doing this? Because this is what we do.
This is what I love doing.
And I only chased him, but I caught the guy. And I'm telling the guys, cuff him. And the guys are like, what are you doing? I said, dude, do your job. And to me, if you love what you do, nothing will stop that from happening. So you need to love what you do in this world. The biggest thing I love, my family, my kids, everything I love. But as far as jobs go, if you have a job that you got to get up every day and go to work, you better love what you do.
Be passionate about it.
Be passionate about it.
Right.
And honestly, there's a million guys that would have stepped in my place to become a cop in my place. And honestly, I was not ready to retire.
To give it to them, right?
I mean, I was the oldest one in my department when I retired. I was 53. I'm 54 now. And I just would never have the opportunity to do what I've done, including bringing people back to life that were gone on the job. So things like that.
So you've given CPR just like you were given CPR? You've done that for other people?
Several times.
How
I brought people
awesome is
back.
that?
And they've come to, yeah, everybody gets life-saving awards and things. You don't do it for that. You do it to do your job and make sure that you can make sure this person can come back.
Right.
A few times they have not come back, but guess what? The times that people have come back, I've seen them afterwards This lady in Harding Township, she was gone. We got there in 4 minutes. We're doing 100 miles an hour getting there. And we got in, me and one of the best cops I've ever worked with, Pat Christel. We're doing our job, and he's feeding off me. I'm feeding off him. I'm doing CPR. He's doing the defibrillator. We're giving shocks. We bring her back. We got a pulse. She came into headquarters with a note. Thank you. And when we got the award, she was there. And her whole family was there. And honestly, we all cried. Just like I'm crying now with you, almost. And it's what it's all about. And I wouldn't have the opportunity to do things like that, including a million things I've prided myself on with this job.
I think it's pretty awesome that the guy who's giving CPR to people needed CPR himself for his life to be saved. You know,
It's
pretty
ironic.
It's full circle.
It's ironic.
Yeah, it is pretty ironic.
It's ironic. And honestly, the biggest thing is one of the things I prided myself on is law enforcement against drugs. I was teaching the 5th graders. And the biggest thing that I am a proponent of is St. Jude's. Ever hear of St. Jude's Children's Research Hospital? St. Jude's, no parent should ever have to pay a dime for their kids that are sick. And honestly, if you have a chance to do something for a child, do it. I started a program called Kids Helping Kids. It was a program to raise money for St. Jude with my 5th graders. And we started with a small donation of $500. The first year we did it, and it took off. Good stuff.
Raising money for St. Jude's.
Yes. Every dime went right to St. Jude.
Awesome.
By the end of the fundraiser, after 7 years of doing it, we raised $20,000.
Cool.
And I was proud to donate that to St. Jude, and to hear them say we've able to buy wagons and different things with the donations, which is, if I would have retired from the hospital bed, that would never have happened.
Right.
If you understand.
You know, if you just get to the top of the mountain without climbing it, it's like, what joy is that? It's the struggle, and then you can look back and be like, yeah, I did it. So like, instead of you just mailing it in and, retiring early, you struggled to get back, and then you finished your career where other guys are looking for any way out of their career. And, I think there's something to be said about the struggle in life is worth it at the end, right? And, and you're showing an example for your kids and your family members, like, don't give in, don't give up.
On that note, everybody rushes to get to the next thing,
Right.
Guess what? I've come to realize the journey getting there is what it's all about. To me, if you miss the years of your kids growing up, they're grown. To me, you missed your life. And to me, that was important. And when I came out of the accident, we used to moan and groan about what needs to be done with the house, this and that. Guess what? If you're not here, Clark, nothing matters.
Right.
So, and I'm going to tell you this. Talking about that, when I was at the convention down in Atlantic City, all right, for LEAD, this was 1 year after I started being an instructor, right? I called my wife. It's a Saturday night, whatever. And I'm like, hey, what's going on? How the kids, this and that. And I hear like all this noise in the background. Like video. What's that noise? Oh, Christopher's playing his video games. Like I hear ding, 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 right? With that, the next day was the LEAD awards at the convention center, okay? So I'm there with all my friends and all the instructors and different things. And with that, they called the instructor of the year up to the stage. When they said my name, honestly, I was floored. When I was given instructor of the year, I had no idea that this was going to happen, okay? There are hundreds of cops now, okay, that are there.
Right.
As I walk up to the stage, so I'm going to get upset now. A door opens up, and it's my wife and kids. Well, don't you know what the noise was I heard on Saturday night? Was a casino that she was with her mom playing the casino, the slots or whatever the night before, and she lied to me. I had no idea they were there.
They were there?
They come out, and I'm bawling like a baby now, okay? And they want me to do a speech. Now, Clark, I'm bawling in front of all these guys that are guys I train with and I'm on the job with, bawling like a baby. I don't know nothing I was going to say mattered because my kids were there, my family was there. And honestly, it meant the world to me. But I did say this. It doesn't matter what type of house you live in, what type of car you drive. Somebody told me this quote a long time ago. Doesn't matter what your bank account is. If you made a difference in the life of a child, that's what matters. And honestly, that's what it's all about to me. And honestly, it made me feel good. And I cry like a baby in front of everybody. And it is what it is.
Hey, we're human, man. That's great. Showing emotion.
Good stuff.
That's awesome. Where did your life go upon retirement? Like, did you have ideas what you wanted to do after retirement, and are you accomplishing those ideas?
I am. I always wanted to start and always wanted to be involved with executive protection. So I retired 2 years ago, and with the help of my operations manager, who was someone that is a great friend that we hunt in New Hampshire all the time, deer hunting. He's a Fordham University professor. He teaches in 4 other colleges, and he's very smart, more intelligent than me. I started my own business 2 years ago, and it's taking off, which is I feel blessed. It's called Pirello Executive Protection.
Pirello Executive Protection.
Yes, sir.
And so you'll do security and protection for a wide range of types of events?
Yes, we do armed details, unarmed details, whatever the client wishes. We've done formals at country clubs. We've done large banquets. We actually have quite a few coming up this fall, not to mention the clients, but big venues. And we have about a dozen on my bench that are all guys that I handpicked, retired from the job or on the job that can work. And we have 8 or 10 unarmed as well, which is it's very, very satisfying because it's something I always wanted to do.
That's awesome.
And we're doing good.
Wow. Congrats.
Thank you. I appreciate
awesome,
it.
Man. That's great.
I appreciate it.
Again, like I post going after your goals and your dreams and not being deterred and, not letting failure stop you, like things aren't just going to come so easy, like no, everybody would do it. Like if things just came, it takes hard work and it takes initiative and it takes guts and it takes desire and confidence and sticking with it when you fail and learning from your failures and persevering and from your accident you did all those things and it carries over now into starting a business after your other career ended.
Exactly right.
Yeah, and that's what people should take away from this is
I hope so. Yeah, I hope so because there's a lot of people that were in accidents half of what I was that didn't make it. And I've had to give notification to the parents and whatever. And it was, not good.
Yeah, it's got to be tough.
But it's part of the job. And seeing what I was involved with, I shouldn't be here right now.
Yeah, you actually brought newspaper clippings with you, which we're going to post into the podcast, and people can see the headlines. I think it said "Officer Fights for Life," and it shows your mangled up vehicle and the truck you hit. So they'll get a sense of just how bad it was.
Yeah, and honestly, I only brought those because I really haven't seen pictures of my accident after I was healing and everything that much. Came across this a couple years ago, and I'm like, whoa, look at this car. And I prided myself on the Thunderbird, okay? I kept it immaculate. To see it in the picture, I'm like, holy shit, that was bad. And that's what I was in.
Wow. Any parting words you'd want to give to the audience listening in today?
Absolutely. First of all, I appreciate you. Thank you for being able to sit with you, because we go back a long time.
Yeah.
And where you came from, I'm glad to be sitting across from you right now.
Thanks, bro.
And it's all good. And there's reasons why things happen in your life, including you,
Yep.
including me. If there's negativity in people's life that they're fighting with right now, you need to understand and believe that things happen for a reason. If something doesn't work out, there's a reason why. If something does work out, there's a reason why. And to me, to be able to do what I'm doing now, when I possibly didn't have the opportunity to, if I would have packed it in 20 years ago, has made a difference. And this is what it's about.
Don't give up.
You need to have a purpose.
Yeah.
Don't give up. And to give up is the easy way out. It's easy. If I would have packed it in, it's easy. To fight is hard.
Right. Yep. To fight is hard. To give up is easy.
It's true.
Yeah. Right on, brother. Thanks for being here.
You're welcome. Thank you
Thanks
for having me. I
Thanks for
appreciate
sharing
it.
that story.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. And there you have it, everybody. Another edition of the Free Like Me podcast. Guests come in, speak their truth, leave their burdens behind, and leave free like me. That's what it's all about. I want to thank Lou Pirrello Jr. for coming in, sharing his tragedy and his triumph of overcoming and not giving up and persevering. That's what it's all about. Don't quit. If you got a dream, you got goals, get rid of those naysayers, the chirping in your ear. Be done with them and go full force after what you want in life. See you next week. Peace.